Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Terri Daniel, and I am putting this little video together for you today to introduce you to a tool that can be really helpful for you when you're going through the grieving process. It's based on an academic theory called the dual process model, which was formulated by two researchers, Margaret Stroebe and Henk Schut. You'll see their names on this document that I'm going to share with you in a few minutes. And basically, what they're saying, and you'll know this because I know you experience this, is when you're grieving, you bounce back and forth between heavy, sad feelings and happier feelings. It comes in waves, as people often say. And they call this moving from loss orientation to restoration orientation. Loss orientation means you're focused on your loss. You're thinking about how sad you are. You cannot see a happier future. You cannot see a positive outcome of this. You're traumatized. You can barely talk. You can barely breathe. You're not reaching out to people. You're not accepting help. And everything is bleak. There's no hope. You can't get out of bed in the morning. You're not taking care of yourself. You're not going to work. All of those things. And that's loss orientation. Your thinking is all about your loss and how bad it is. Restoration orientation, on the other hand, is those moments when you do get out of bed, you do go out in the world, you do allow someone to help you, and maybe somebody comes over to your house and helps you take your loved one's belongings out of the closet and pack things up and sort through things, which of course you know needs to be done. And maybe they bring some champagne and you drink a little and you laugh and you tell stories about the person and you actually feel kind of better for a few minutes, few hours. That's restoration orientation. Anything that you're doing to restore yourself, to rebuild, reconstruct your new world goes in the restoration column. And the reason I say column is because I'm going to share my screen with you right now and show you a little chart that you can make. This is what it looks like. You make a column for loss and a column for restoration. And you keep track of what you're doing throughout the days, weeks, months. So for example, let's say it's Christmas time and your husband died and he loved Christmas. It was always a really big thing for your family. And now is the first Christmas without him. That is so hard. And what a lot of people do is just say, nope, I'm not doing Christmas. I can't bear it. But what you could also do is allow Christmas to happen and bring him into the celebrations. I'll talk about that in another video. But for the moment, here's what loss orientation might look like. And you would write this in the loss column. So think of this as a journal. So the way you feel on this day, I hate Christmas. I can't do it without him. I don't want to live through a holiday season without him. That's a loss feeling. But later on in the day, your daughter comes over and drags you out and takes you to like a holiday crafts fair or a farmer's market. And you sit in a beautiful place and you have some food and you drink a beer and you feel a little human for a minute. Or maybe your daughter does the Christmas dinner at her house and you go, even though you don't want to go, but everybody's sitting around the table and they go around the room and everybody says something about your husband and makes a tribute to him. That's going to make you really sad, but it's also going to make you feel a little bit better because you'll realize that you're not alone and that he was loved. So you might put in the restoration column when you get home. I actually felt okay for a few hours today. And so on and so forth. And that's how that works. It's so simple. And the reason for doing this is there's a couple of reasons. One is that you can track your progress. You can see what your feelings look like laid out right in front of you on paper. And you can also get to know those feelings and you can see what kind of things trigger you into the sad space, what kind of things trigger you into the happier space, and kind of watch for those things. And as you start to reconstruct your life, you'll kind of know a little bit about what the building blocks look like and what you can start putting in and what you can start moving into the distance. And over time, you're going to see that you're going to have more stuff in the restoration column than in the loss column. That's what's important. I can't tell you what the time frame will be, probably not in the first week or 2 or 3 or 6, but eventually it'll all start moving into the restoration column. And the loss column will, of course, always be there. Decades later, you're going to have those memories of loss. But what's going to happen, and what I hope you can teach yourself to do, is to take those triggers, those memories, those sad things, and reframe them into something sacred. Instead of bitter, they are now bittersweet. And you remember them with fondness and tenderness and love and sweetness instead of anger and fear and hopelessness. That will all start to shift. So as long as the energy is moving from one column to the other, you're doing great. You are healing. And that's a little tool that I really hope that you'll use and that you will find helpful. Thank you for listening.